low back pain comes from inflammation. It's like a ball of fire in that section of your body. And one of the best antidotes as a physician to reverse that pain is a bucket of steroids. They work every time, but rarely am I happy about using them because of the danger they involve. We'll talk about that danger and what I would do instead. Let's use a youthful example. We'll take my son. And although his situation may be a lot faster than yours, the principles still apply. My 17-year-old son is a senior in high school and wrestling at a very intense level. After several really intense matches, he comes home with screaming lower back pain. This full contact sport left him with a torn muscle in his lower back with an intense pain that would not go away, at least not fast enough between the times he was wrestling. The peak of his pain hit over the holiday season, and although he was out of school, the wrestling schedule didn't slow down much. So each time he hit the mat, whether for practice or for an intense match, that injury in his lower back was the first one to tear open and be re-injured each time he used it. This signal, called cytokines, sends out the message, hey, send in the repair team. Because of his limited repair time, the cytokines kept building up and the injury never really healed. This would be a perfect time to pour a bunch of steroids on an injury, remove the cytokines, and watch the body heal. The healing process wouldn't be perfect, but it would be good enough to get him through the next few days. But that's not what I would do. So why wouldn't I give my son steroids to get to the other side of that pain? Because the price is too high. Number one, the steroids will suppress his immune system. And right now, he needs that not just to repair this injury in his back, but for his whole body to heal in between each one of those intense matches. He's also defending off against a lot of things while you're an intense athlete, sweating, and in a full contact sport. Number two, it would stop the growth of his bones. Now, that would only affect his bone growth for a short time, but as an adolescent, I don't want to do that at all to my son. If you look at what this effect is in elders, it doesn't stop the linear growth of bones, but it does stop and suppress those cells that build bones, which is why repeated steroid use over time causes bones to be weaker, called osteopenia or osteoporosis. Number three, those steroids will shift his metabolism from a ketogenic or fat-based metabolism to 100% glucose-driven for at least 3 days. That rise in glucose after a steroid shot can feel like a bit of euphoria, whether you're an athlete or you're a patient who's suffering from an illness. But the downside of a glucose-driven metabolism is that you're not going to sleep so well that night. That revved up system stops the brain from shutting down, which is when the best healing happens, whether it's from a back injury or around a chemotherapy. So we're not doing that. So what did we do instead? There's 4 different ways we helped him repair. We first focused on the pliability of his muscle. This injured muscle was causing him to be reflexive, not using other muscles, and really being tense in his lower back. This is the same approach that Tom Brady used for many years for his peak performance in the NFL. His team here in Tampa Bay used this while he was a Buccaneer. We reached out to the folks at TBRX and asked them to help my son get the pliability back in that injured muscle. The second thing we did is we applied an anti-inflammatory chemistry set by the way he ate. That didn't mean he ate a bunch of kale or antioxidants. It did mean that he did not eat processed foods and he was focused on a low carbohydrate, high fat diet to get him in nutritional ketosis. My son, like many advanced athletes, was already spending hours a day in a state of ketosis just by the sheer nature of his intense workouts with the way he was eating. We took his treatment to the next level using medium chain triglycerides with C8, C10 to increase the production of ketones beyond his nutritional ketosis. He started with a few pills and we titrated that dose up to stay just shy of the loose stools, but to get the highest amount of ketones in circulation for the fastest repair for his body. Instead of injecting that muscle with a steroid, we now were pouring ketones into that wound, which helps to suppress the chronic nature of that cytokine response, allowing the wound to heal and that natural anti-inflammatory state to be the best tool for his repair process. Next, we used ice. Yes, ice baths after each one of his workouts suppressed his core temperature. I wanted him to stay in that ice bath for up to 10 minutes, and every 30 seconds after 10 minutes, I told him was a superpower. This reduction in core body temperature and then allowing his body to naturally warm up was yet another way to suppress the chronic cytokine process at that injury and allowing his immune system to do their peak job at the weakest part of his body. And number 4, hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Yes, it's kind of weird that I have one of these, but they are an excellent way to enhance the repair process for an injury. During the season, when we were doing everything right, I accidentally lost 5 pounds. You want to see which foods caused that weight loss? Check out the next video.